A shocking update in the death of Jeffrey Epstein, a famous forensic pathologist who observed the autopsy, telling Fox and Friends in an exclusive interview this morning that official reports characterizing Epstein's death as a suicide may not be accurate. Watch.
There are multiple 3 fractures in the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, that are very unusual for suicide and more indicative of strangulation, homicidal strangulation.
Dr. Michael Bodden now also says he wants an additional DNA testing session. Let's bring in Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. So, Judge, what happens if this was a homicide? I mean, it reopens the case and there's a search for a suspect, right?
Well, theoretically, the federal government the FBI is investigating this because some of the things Dr. Bodden points out, which have nothing to do with the autopsy, are very peculiar. 2 video cameras not working. A cellmate mysteriously reassigned the day before Epstein's death. 2 guards, not 1, 2 guards guarding that area, both asleep at the time. This is a bizarre series of coincidences. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. But Michael Bodden is one of the most highly regarded pathologists in the world. He has testified before me, which is how I met him. He's a superstar. It's mysterious to me why this is coming out now, 75 days after he made the observation that I'm putting my fingers on my neck as he did. He made the observation that you just described in the clip that you ran of these mysterious broken bones, which he says could not happen by suicide. The DNA
By the way, we're looking
testing,
at photos of this.
Right. The DNA testing that he's looking for is for the ligature, the instrument that actually caused the death. I don't know if that's missing, but the federal government has it. He says he's demanded DNA testing to see if it shows that another human touched it, and he doesn't have the answers on that yet.
Judge, this raises a very real question. The federal government's involved. They run the prison. They're doing the investigation.
Yes.
Why are they behaving like this?
I don't know why the federal government behaves the way it does. I know the Attorney General was furious. He fired the head of the Bureau of Prisons. He reassigned the person that runs this particular prison, which is a jail. It's not a prison, meaning people are held there during trial or until their trial. It's not a long-term facility. And theoretically, the FBI is looking at this. The FBI is not investigating itself. It's investigating another part of the DOJ called the Bureau of Prisons.
So,
hey, Judge, it's Scott Martin.
That begs the question. Why are they dragging their feet? There are just too many coincidences.
Don't know.
Too many neat coincidences.
Well, and Steve, to that point, coincidences is exactly right, because, Judge, you mentioned at the outset there. I mean, I appreciate the details. The inmate switch, the camera's not working when there were specific instructions for him to be monitored 24/7. I mean, that's where I think the answer lies. Like, did the jail run out of 6 or 9-volt batteries that night? I mean, can they explain what happened to the cameras?
We do not have an explanation as to what happened to the cameras. One of the cameras is in the hallway, which is supposed to show everybody that enters and exits the cell.
Yeah.
That wasn't working. The other camera is in the cell itself, which is a continuous monitor on the inmate, and that wasn't working. And then the people that were supposed to be looking at these unworking cameras were asleep.
Too much.
All right, Judge, even though this is a great riddle wrapped in an enigma surrounded by a mystery or something like that.
Thank you, Sir Winston.
Switching gears from a former Juul executive is alleging that the company knowingly sent out 1 million contaminated Juul pods and then fired him in retaliation for raising the issue. However, Juul is pushing back against these claims in a statement to Fox Business, saying the allegations concerning safety issues with Juul products are equally meritless, and we are already investigated the underlying manufacturing issue and determined the product met all applicable specifications. Juul strongly denies the charge and adds that the executive was fired for failing to meet leadership standards of the company, not in retaliation. So what do you make of this one?
What I make of it is that this lawsuit is the least of Juul's worries. Juul's biggest worry is the FDA. He has triggered or will trigger the plaintiff an FDA investigation because of the very skillful nature of the allegations he made. The allegations he made are changing products after they were approved by the FDA and not complying with FDA regulations for products that were grandfathered in before certain other regulations came about. Stated differently, this will trigger an FDA investigation, and they'll get far deeper than the plaintiff would in a lawsuit.
We should mention, by the way, BuzzFeed was the source for that. Now, again, they were quoting this guy, but BuzzFeed has kind of broken track record in terms of
well, it is a
reporting
legitimate complaint, which I read, very professionally crafted. In fact, so professionally crafted, in my view, it was actually written to get the attention of the FDA more than the attention of a federal judge.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, who has a fair degree of skepticism about Jeffrey Epstein's death, I think.
I do. I love Mike Baden, but I don't know why anybody would wait 75 days to reveal this.
Good stuff, Judge. Thank you very much.